Welcome or welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome to a brand new update for the journal. We've made such good progress with January already, and I still have a few videos to edit and upload before I even get to the February spread. So while I'm behind, I'm still really happy that I've made such a dent in my overall goals for the year. This is the 6th item in our 53 for 53, and it's another book review. This one is a bit, well, I have thoughts. We are adding Orbital by Samantha Harvey to the finished pile. We are of course updating the alphabet challenge, but once again, no genre square for this one. This took me far longer than I had anticipated to finish, especially given the book's low page count, but I finally closed the cover for the last time on the 7th of January. That is wild to me, considering I finished The Goodbye Cat on, the 2nd? And I picked this book up straight after, I didn't wait. So that maybe gives an indication of how this reading experience went. I could have also completed a reading challenge for this as well, for the one-word title, but with what my review ended up being, I didn't want to give it any additional recognition. I love the quiet contemplation that I do every time I look at the calendar spread. However, I have decided what I'm going to do for February's spread now, which is really exciting. So let's talk Orbital. This book follows 6 astronauts and cosmonauts stationed on a spacecraft as it orbits the Earth. The book takes place over the entirety of one cycle, which is 16 full orbits. That is to say, 16 full days and nights for one day above Earth. During this cycle, one of the astronauts is informed of a death in the family, and the book explores the difficulty of grief when you are so physically detached from the fact. It also explores themes of humanity, of family, of life and its purpose. It shows the backgrounds of people throughout the world who have come together to share in a compact space for a large period of time. This was the winner of the 2024 Booker Prize, although I was gifted it for Christmas and I've only just gotten round to reading it now. Has this shaped the way I view the prize? Perhaps. Has it made me eager to go through previous winners? Not so much. As I mentioned before, it's pretty short at only 136 pages, but you certainly feel each one. This is a book that fills me with such frustration that writing a review is actually quite hard. I'm going to try and be as balanced as I can, but the star rating it gets is very indicative of how this book made me feel by the end. I'll start by saying I really like the concept. This idea that these people have been on a spacecraft for so long, completing the same tasks, seeing the same views. The book describes that perfectly. I also think that the individual astronauts' stories themselves were really interesting, and I genuinely yearned for more of those moments throughout. Lastly, and perhaps most frustratingly, this book features some of the most beautiful examples of prose that I've ever read. We're talking stop me in my tracks imagery that was so powerful that I wanted to fist pump the air. I'll read you a few of these because this was also a book where I added in so many tabs for quotes that I just loved. I loved all of them. So there's this one. Think a new thought, they sometimes tell themselves. The thoughts you have in orbit are so grandiose and old. Think a new one, a completely fresh, unthought one. I really like that. There's this one. But since when did death wait? And what sort of a homecoming would it be anyway, to die on her daughter's arrival on Earth? Loved that. Gorgeous scene as well. This one, very on the nose, but really powerful, I thought. Because who can look at a man's neurotic assault on the planet and find it beautiful? Man's hubris. A hubris so almighty it's matched only by his stupidity. And these phallic ships, thrust into space, are surely the most hubristic of them all. The totems of a species gone mad with self-love. Gorgeous. Perfect. The one that I ended up using, I actually only used the last sentence for, but the overall quote is quite big. I'm going to read the whole thing, because I think it does a good job of really bringing it to life. And this takes place at a point in the book where one of the astronauts is thinking about the fact that the job he's been sent up here to do could be done by a machine, and quite possibly in the future will be done by a machine. A robot has no need for hydration, nutrients, excretion, sleep. A robot has no irksome brain fluids or menstruation or libido or taste buds. You don't have to fly fruit to it on a rocket, or fill it with vitamins and antioxidants and sleeping pills and painkillers, nor build for it a toilet with funnels and pumps that require a training course to use, nor a unit that recycles its urine into drinking water, since it has no urine and it needs no water and it wants and asks for nothing. But what would it be to cast out into space creations that had no eyes to see it and no heart to fear or exult in it? This quote made me literally put the book down and just take a minute, because it is so beautiful. And here is where my frustration lies. Because for every gorgeous piece of imagery, there are 30 pages of rambling, monotonous, repetitive prose that I needed to slog through before I could find it. We're talking sentences that take up a quarter to a third of a page, sentences with 15 to 20 commas in them. We're talking the same vague descriptions, the same situations, over and over and over again. It is so infuriating to me that you would create these wonderful ideas and then build up so much chaff around them that they are completely hidden to someone who's just trying to get through the book. 136 pages is nothing, and yet it felt like a lifetime. It felt like this author had an idea, a concept that they thought was great, and then had no idea how to fully realise it without adding a bunch of filler. And that is genuinely such a shame, because when the imagery hits, it really hits. I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a moment here, because I get the whole setting of the book is monotonous. These astronauts are in a situation where they are following the same routine, the same tasks. They're looking at the same scenery every single day. Everything is regulated to the hour. There's very little room for new. Some of these astronauts have been circling the Earth for over 400 days. You know, at that point, there is very little newness to be found. And so I would understand if that was the point, to really hammer home the atmosphere of the setting. However, that doesn't make it enjoyable to read. I don't want to be bored with monotony when I'm trying to lose myself in a book. I want to be excited. I want to be enthralled. And this book does neither, because it's too focused on the same things over and over and over. It's all very well in theory, but in practice, it doesn't make for a good reading experience. This book got a 2-star rating from me. When I originally reviewed it on Goodreads, I actually gave it 3 stars, but I knew at the time that was me being generous. I think, on reflection, with how negative my thoughts were after, I don't see how I can give it a rating that says, yeah, this is fine, because that feels disingenuous. I'm sorry, Samantha Harvey. This one was just not for me. Thank you for watching today's video, guys. If you've read Orbital, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. There have definitely been some divided opinions on it. And if you liked today's video, please consider hitting the thumbs up button. Also, if you want to see more, you can always subscribe and then turn on notifications so that you won't miss a single entry. We've got a few more to upload before we get to February spread. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.